Quote, "Memories of the past and anticipation of the future exist only now, and thus to try to live completely in the present is to strive for what already is the case." Unquote. That's Alan Watts. You've heard it many times, so often in fact that it's become a cliche. Live in the present. The now is all there is. Forget about the past. It's over. Don't worry about the future. There's only today. While these are familiar refrains, the truth is that living in the now is an elusive activity for virtually everyone. It may be easy to say, but it's very tricky to do day in and day out. And yet, Alan Watts is absolutely correct in the above quotation when he states that it already is the case. That is why living in the present moment is so baffling. Think about the past, and you're not living in the now. But the now is the only thing available for thinking about the past. Live in anticipation of the future, and you're admonished for not being here now. But now is all you have for engaging in that delicious futurizing. Thus, as Alan Watts reminds you, you strive for what already is. To be in the now is really your only option. But the real question isn't how to live in the now, it's how to use the now by being present, rather than wasting it on reflections of the past or concerns about the future. My conclusion is that the present moment is an antidote for the pain and difficulties we experience, which we habitually try to soothe with rationales and explanations. When we plunge ourselves 100% into the now, experiencing it and nothing else, we're on an excuses-begone journey with no need for all of those old, habituated thinking patterns. In fact, excuses are simply what you've developed to explain now moments that are tangled in the past or the future. If you're truly in that blissful presence of the now, there's no desire to alter what is. When your sentences express that it's going to be difficult, or it's going to take a long time, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm too old, you're wasting a present moment with excuses from a not now moment. And when are you having these thoughts? You guessed it, the only time you can have a thought is in the now. So if your present moment is being used up replaying why present moment thinking is incorrect, that is, making excuses, is it available for you to do something constructive? Obviously not. All excuses are avoidance techniques to keep you from taking charge and changing your thinking habits. If you weren't rehashing your excuses, but were instead immersed in the now, you'd be experiencing your own form of the bliss and healing that took place for me during my magical swim. You see, when I removed ego from the moment, I stopped thinking about myself and focused on being fully present. And then I was able to be truly here without ego's excuses. I had plenty of explanations for the tension in my chest, but when I moved totally into the now with no other thoughts, the excuses disappeared, along with the pain. The ego is a false self that believes in its separation. It can't survive in the now. When you luxuriate in the moment, it's impossible to ask for anything else, let alone more. The essence of living in the present is total acceptance of precisely what is here. Your mind doesn't wander to what used to be, what ought to be, or what's missing, and you don't conjure up excuses. Rather, you have a heightened awareness of experiencing your highest self. You also feel a deep sense of connection to God, who isn't doing anything differently than God was doing an hour or a century ago, or will be doing a millennium from now. Your source energy is always only here and only now. It doesn't know how to be any other way. It has no plans, no regrets, no worries about the future, no guilt over the past. It simply is. And what is God doing? Nothing. And what does God leave undone? Nothing. By staying in the now and in a state of gratitude for all that is and all that you are, you tame the ego and you enter a state where excuses cannot even be considered. What excuse do you need when you're fully present? None. Of what use is ego, that false self, when you're with your source in the moment? Don't use up the now with thoughts of regret or worry. The experience of higher awareness is your reward. With ego in control, virtually every thought is making an excuse, focusing on what always has been or what you fear always will be. By befriending the present moment, you say goodbye to that troublesome ego. Here are a few suggestions for implementing present moment awareness. First, practice becoming aware of your reactions when someone introduces any kind of mental disturbance into your life. Where do your thoughts take you? What do you think about in that instant? You'll probably find that your thoughts are projections into the past or the future, so bring yourself back to the now. As you're receiving the disrupting information, ask, how am I feeling right now, instead of how am I going to feel later, or how did I feel back then? By giving yourself a gentle reminder in the moment of your discomfort, you'll bring yourself back to what you're experiencing now. Watch as your discomfort dissolves when you experience it in the present. Just keep practicing bringing yourself back to the here and now. And remember as you do so that this is your relationship to life itself. Accept the present moment and find the perfection that's untouched by time itself. Then repeat this affirmation. I choose to stay fully present in the now, and this is the only place that I will come to know God. By repeating this to yourself in silence for a 5-minute period, you reinforce the importance of being a present moment person. Repetition is crucial. Make this a regular practice, and it will ultimately become your way of being. I choose to stay fully present in the now, and this is the only place that I will come to know God.